I screwed up again, Enders. And I realized as editing the video, I didn't let you guys know that the montage Kelly made is live. So before the video starts, hit pause, go watch it. I'll put it in the description and then you can come back here. So go check out the montage for Super Sweet 16, I guess. Guess it is. Yeah, so I'll be back after the intro. Say BRB. This is an interesting way to start year 17. Yesterday you guys saw the montage of the incredible year that we had for 16, you know, welcoming a little indie bear over. When I went to the dentist, I guess a week ago or something, I got this little x-ray thing and they said I had a cloudiness on this side of my sinus, maxillary or whatever it is. They set me up.
Maxillary sinus.
What is it called?
I think it's called the maxillary.
I love that bird poop. That bird poop just chilling right there. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I could be wrong.
They were just like, hey, we're going to refer you to this oral surgeon guy just to go check it out. They have better x-ray stuff. They don't think it's anything to worry about, but naturally, my brain is what it is. And plus, anything to do with mouth, it being so close to your brain, you don't really want to mess around with it. We're just going to go start year 17 off with a doctor appointment of something I didn't even know was a thing.
And Charles had me like look up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Because his head was kind of spiraling out of control a little bit. And it's really interesting. Your sinuses, like just ear, nose, and throat, they're so interconnected. But it's like, I learned all these different things that you can get in your little itsy bitsy sinus cavity that can really disrupt like polyps, sinusitis, like bad in like your sinus infections, or like just to see how sinus infections, like I saw like a actual
Surgeon?
No, I just saw like how the sinuses are all interconnected and like just how a sinus infection actually works and like it's wild.
Year 17, guys. We're past the Sweet 16 of the vlogs. So if you guys want to see actually what the x-ray looked like, it's that right there on the screen. It's a weird little thing. You see like a little swirly thing. Luckily, Allie did look at everything and saw that nothing looks like that's bad. So we're just gonna find out what it is. But it's creepy. Yeah, it does. It honestly looks like a giant loogie in my nose. Indie bear. Hey, bud. Here's the smile. Feeling better. Roar!
You sounded like mad for a second.
All right. Just got out of the doctor. Awesome guy. Interesting stuff though. Very interesting stuff. I did not realize this is kind of a thing. First off, best news, he's not worried. However, he did another one of those panoramic CT scans, which are amazing. It's literally like taking an iPhone and just doing that across my face. You see a little fuzzy thing? So the things that they thought it would be, like Allie said, it's the maxillary cavity or sinus, whatever it is.
Maxillary sinus. I even asked the nurse, I said, is that the maxillary sinus? And she's like, yes. And I was like, I felt really good about it. Because I did some research.
They were looking at it and they asked about my history, if I had my molars out, yada, 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 things like that, just backstory. Then they were like saying, which is kind of funny, they were asking when I got it out. And I was thinking, because I think it is one of my first videos on YouTube. I love dogs. I'm just tired. No. He's like, all right, well, anything else?
Quick question. Was that at your normal dentist or was that like at a dentist you had never been to before?
There was another surgeon guy. A surgeon down in Bradenton. Tampa. So I got it out and he was asking when, because obviously I got my teeth cleaned after that. But he said what kind of happens sometimes, and when they do that, and this is just kind of like a little bit of information for yourself that you might want to ask next time you get x-rays, is that sometimes when you, or when they do the whole extraction of the molars or a tooth in general, that sometimes bone fragments can be left behind, like microscopic bone fragments.
And then they can cluster.
Then they group up and cluster, and then they can essentially morph into another tooth or a bone or something like that.
No, that's separate. That's separate from what that.
Oh, that's separate?
So he said it could either be that or he said it could be this. He thought, he nixed it, but he thought it could be this thing where it's basically, this sounds bad and it's not meant to be scary, but I forget the medical terminology, but basically it's like a tumor but made of teeth.
Yeah.
That's a benign thing, and he was like, it might be this,
Well,
because he's like pointing at it, and well, that's what they say.
Well, a tumor is, I think, defined as a cluster of something.
Yeah, but I mean, I think when people think of it,
it's always negative.
So he was like, I think it might be this. And he's like, I don't really know. I think it might be this. And when he was telling us, he's like, you've had radiation, right? And he was like, yeah. And he said sometimes radiation can affect that and cause something to mute, like grow or change. It's rare,
like
but it
happens.
But it happens. So he thought it was that, but he thinks he's not sure about that anymore.
When she had to go out because Andy had to get her diaper changed, he came back in, showed me all the stuff, and he said that he's not worried or anything like that. That if he was his type of doctor, that like if he had any inkling of something wrong, that he would immediately send me somewhere. But he's like, let's wait a few months. I don't see this being anything to worry about. I'll send this to a radiologist at UF, and I'll let you know. Don't lose any sleep. Yeah, things like that. Slowly trying to get me to calm down. I don't think it's really anything. It's always the unknowing.
The guy was cool though, because he was like forward, honest, gave options, and then he was like, I don't know though, so I'm gonna get a second opinion because that's
what you do. So that was my little story for today. That's how I started year 17. I'm gonna get that information. I'm gonna go on, he's like, go on tour, have fun, put it out of your mind, don't lose any sleep, just enjoy yourself. I'll call and let you know what they find or what they say. But he's not worried that anything, because Allie did some researching on stuff and I even asked him. And he says it seems more like a bone thing and not like a tissue thing. Usually with the bone stuff, when it's a bad thing, it's like black. There was no black in the area. It was more white kind of stuff. And there's a lot of symptoms
that
like
was like
pain.
The big thing. The first thing that he checked was, does this hurt? Does this hurt? Do you have this? Do you have this?
It's like, what are these, lymph nodes?
Yeah, well, he was like, a lot of it was like, do you have nosebleeds? Can you smell? Do your, like, do certain things hurt? Did you lose taste? All of these, like, he literally said these are symptoms that we would be draw concern. But he doesn't have any of those symptoms.
Nothing's protruding or anything like that. They were telling me too, so it's like, there's like crazy stuff. Like bones could actually grow through over time. I mean, you gotta really not pay attention. A very interesting day. I'm not too worried. It's still gonna be in the back of my head, until I find out. That's what's going on. I'm just collecting little punch cards, apparently, I guess. I don't know.
He knows how to start the new year.
Yep, I know how to start it off with a bang. I gotta go get dentist.
Moral of the story, floss children.
More of the story would probably be don't floss, because that's why they had to do it. More of the story is go to the dentist more often.